Ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Binghamton City Council Business Meeting, Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge. Okay, thank you, everyone. Could we have a roll call, please, Mr. Clerk?
Councilwoman Rusnetti,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns, Councilman Strawn,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon, present, and President Scaringi is absent.
Okay, thank you. Well, now the approval of minutes, Councilwoman Resendity.
President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes for the January 11th, 2023 organizational meeting and business.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, we have 3 public hearings tonight. What's that, right? Mr. Clerk, will you announce the first public hearing for us?
Okay, tonight we have 3 public hearings. The first one here is the City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 22-309 entitled Bond Ordinance of the City of Binghamton authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $16,369,000, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the city in the principal amount of not to exceed $16,369,000 to finance said appropriation. Anyone wishing to speak may come up. You'll have 5 minutes. Please state your name and if you live or work in the City of Binghamton.
Okay, I take a motion to close this public hearing. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Will you please announce the second public hearing?
Okay, we'll move on to our second public hearing tonight. The City of Binghamton will hold a public hearing regarding RL 22-311 entitled Bond Ordinance of the City of Binghamton authorizing the 6th Ward Interceptor Sanitary Sewer Project, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of $13 million, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the city in the principal amount of not to exceed $13 million to finance said appropriation. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Please come down one by one and state your full name and if you live or work in the City of Binghamton.
Okay, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you announce the third public hearing?
Okay, our third public hearing tonight. The City of Binghamton will now hold a public hearing regarding RL 23-07 entitled Authorizing the Mayor to Submit an Application for Funding from the Empire State Development Corporation Restore New York Communities Initiative, Round 7. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Please come down one by one. And please state your full name and if you live or work in the City of Binghamton.
Okay, take a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close this hearing.
For a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. We will now move to our public comment portion of our meeting. Mr. Clerk, will you please announce the public comment and how folks can participate?
Yes, residents wishing to speak may come down one by one. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Please state your full name and if you live or work in the city of Binghamton.
You want to speak? Hold it. Is it good? Gotta be real close here. Bob, hold on. Is that green light on?
Now it's on.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
That's
on.
better.
My name is Robert Tokus. I live in the city of Binghamton. I'm retired from the sewage treatment plant after 37 years. For the last 17 years, I've worked part-time at the Broome County Arena as a red coat usher. I'm here to speak and be on behalf of Patrolman Brad Kaczynski. I met him at the arena 17 years ago. He used to work there part-time. And I just want to say I've been reading things. I personally wasn't at the event that took place on New Year's Eve. I had worked at the arena and then went home after the hockey game at 9 o'clock. So I understand there was a problem downtown. And from what I've read, Brad's been getting slandered pretty good. And again, I wasn't there. I didn't see what happened, but the character of the man doesn't, the demands of the people they're entitled to their opinions and whatnot. The demands of him being fired, I think is absurd. Or policemen being taken out of the school, which are, again, my opinion, absurd. I'm glad my kids have grown and they're not in school, but I do have grandkids in school, and just a crazy, crazy time that we live in. And I understand what they're saying, that maybe the minority families, as far as the police are concerned, they're fearful of them in the schools or whatnot. I mean, I wasn't, when I was in school, we didn't have police in school. But getting back to Mr. Kaczynski, I know he's a family man. He has 3 young kids. And for him, I personally think he's a very good, conscientious law enforcement officer. And we're hearing one side of the story. And I'm just here to say that in behalf of him, I don't think he should be fired. I would like more details on it. I guess under the circumstances, that'll come out later after all these investigations. As a citizen of this community, I think Bradley is an asset, along with all the other police officers. I can't, defunding police and all that just confuses me. And I think it's absurd. I think be back like the wild, wild west, and we have enough shootings and whatnot. Right now, I could imagine not having law enforcement around. I read something today that there's been something like, 10 or 11 already multiple shootings in the United States. And I don't know what the answer is, but I just hope this particular incident isn't looped with all the other ones and be judged by its own merit. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak this evening? Okay, I entertain a motion to end our public comment tonight.
Motion and public comment.
Okay, we're ended. Okay, we will now move into our legislative agenda. Would anybody like anything pulled from the preferred agenda? Okay, Mr. Clark, will you walk us through the preferred agenda, please?
Yes. Okay, so the first item on tonight's preferred agenda is introductory ordinance 23-01, considered in the Employees Committee. And this is an ordinance to amend various sections of Chapter 124 Personnel Policies of the Code of the City of Binghamton.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2301? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-02, considered in the Employees Committee, and this is an ordinance to amend various sections of the Code of the City of Binghamton to reflect increases in stipends for various boards and commissions.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2302? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-04, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 DPW budget for overtime and equipment.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2304? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-05, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for temporary services in parks and recreation.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2305? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-06, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for retirement payout.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2306? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-07, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for unemployment.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2307? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-08, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for bond principal.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2308? Okay, please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-09, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for temporary services.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 2309? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-10, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for various services.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-10? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-11, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for holiday pay.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-11? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-14, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2023 Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Treatment Facilities budget to defund an operator 3 and fund an operator 2 position.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-14? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-15, considered in the Employees Committee, and this is an ordinance to amend Chapter 26, City Council of the Code of the City of Binghamton.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-15? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-16, considered in the Rules and Special Studies Committee, and this is an ordinance to amend the Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage IMA.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-16? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2020 fire budget to accept the second round of the New York State Healthcare Workers Bonus for personal services.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-18? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-19, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2023 Binghamton Johnson City Joint Sewage Treatment Facilities budget to defund an account clerk typist and fund a confidential senior account clerk position.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-19? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 21, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 Binghamton police budget for school guards.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-21? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-22, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for Social Security.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-22? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-23, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund budget for employee benefits.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-23? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-25, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2022 DPW budget for personal services.
Any questions on comments on introductory ordinance 23-25? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-26, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2023 planning budget for personal services.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-27? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory ordinance 23-27, considered in finance, and this is an ordinance to amend the 2023 engineering and DPW budgets for personal services.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-27? Please proceed.
Next, we have introductory resolution 23-02, considered in planning. This is a resolution to adopt the Clinton Street Neighborhood Business District community development.
Any questions or comments on introductory resolution 23-02? Please proceed.
Agenda is introductory resolution 23-03, considered in finance, a resolution authorizing to submit an application for Empire State Development Corporation Communities 7.
Questions or comments on introductory resolution 23-03? Bob. Okay, let's take a motion to accept the preferred agenda.
Motion to accept the preferred agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy is absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scringy.
Okay, we will now move to our non-preferred agenda. First on is introductory ordinance 2303, considered in planning. Councilwoman Resnetti.
Seeker was. Thank you. Following seeker motions are in reference to legislation before us, introductory ordinance 23-03, entitled an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the city of Binghamton to rezone multiple properties on Conklin Avenue. I make a motion to declare city council as lead agency for a proposed amendment to the official zoning map of the city of Binghamton to rezone 115 Conklin Ave, tax parcel number 160.58-1-2, 125 Conklin Ave, tax parcel number 160.58-1-3, and 135 Conklin Ave, tax parcel number 160.58-1-4 from I2 light and medium industrial to C4 neighborhood commercial to better reflect neighborhood character and allow dwelling units to be included in any future development. Like, I need a motion.
We have a second, we need a second, right? And then voice vote for the first one.
And all in favor.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Make a motion to list the proposed action as an unlisted action under seeker. Need a motion for that, right?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to issue a negative declaration under seeker for the following reasons. Propose amendment to the zoning map. To move 3 lots from an industrial district to the adjacent commercial district is consistent with the existing uses and character of the adjacent commercial corridor on Conklin Ave. Proposed change was reviewed by the City Planning Commission, which recommended approval of the zoning and negative declaration. Therefore, City Council, acting as a lead agency, has found that the proposed zoning will not have an adverse impact on the environment for the following reasons. 1, the proposed rezoning is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. 2, the proposed rezoning will not result in a significant change in the use of intensity of use of land. It will allow mixed-use development, which is a less intensive use than the previous heavy industrial facility located on the site. 3, the proposed rezoning will not impair the character of or quality of the existing community. Subject area will be annexed to the adjacent commercial zoning district, which is one of the city's principal commercial corridors. A full statement of findings is attached to the legislation. Need a motion?
Do we have a second? We need a roll call for that, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy is absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scringy.
I
Okay.
ask
Yeah, go ahead.
I ask for unanimous consideration for introductory ordinance 23-03. An ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the city of Binghamton to rezone multiple properties on Conklin Ave.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Questions or comments?
I'm sorry, questions or comments? On introductory ordinance 2303,
All questions?
questions been called? Roll call, please.
All right. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and Scringy's absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scringy.
Okay. We have introductory ordinance 2312, consider in finance. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-12, an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating estimated maximum cost thereof of $16,369,000. appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds in the city in a principal amount of not to exceed $60,369,000 to finance said appropriation. There's a seeker with this too. Following seeker motion are in reference to the legislation before us. Introductory ordinance 23-12 entitled an ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof $16,369,000, appropriating said amount of each of such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds to the city in a principal amount of not to exceed $16,369,000 to finance an appropriation. I make a motion to declare city council as lead agency under seeker.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay,
I make a motion to identify the purpose, the proposed action is type 2 action and to issue a negative declaration for one untitled action under seeker for the following reasons. This is ordinance authorizing issuance of $16,369,000 serial bonds to finance 2023 capital projects. The projects are for the purpose of repaving existing highways, not involving the addition of new travel lanes, street openings, and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair or maintenance of existing utility facilities, improving pedestrian safety and installing ADA compliance ramps, replacement, rehabilitation of reconstruction of existing structures or facilities, including the water and sewer connections, sewer interceptor upgrades, flood wall levee improvements, improvement to parks, streetscape improvements to the city's Deco district, and interior renovations of City Hall, various equipment needs and engineering design for said projects. Findings: the City of Binghamton City Council has determined that the project action described above is a type 2 action based on 617.5 type 2C1, maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes to the existing structure or facility. 2, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facilities in kind in the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building or fire codes, unless such action meets and exceeds any of the thresholds in action 617.4 of this part 5, repaving of existing highway, not involving the addition of new travel lanes. 6, street openings and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair or maintenance and existing utility facilities. 13, extension of utilities distribution facilities, including gas, electric, telephone, cable, water, and sewer connections to render service in approved subdivisions or in connection with any action on this list. 21, minor temporary uses of land having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment and no further environmental review is necessary. 22, installation of traffic control devices on existing streets, roads, and highways. 24, information collection, including basic data collection and research water quality and pollution studies, traffic counts, engineering studies, surveys, subsurface investigation, and soil studies that do not commit the agency to undertake, fund, or approve any type 1 or unlisted action. And 31, purchase of sale of furnishings, equipment, or supplies, including surplus government property, other than the following: land, radioactive material, pesticides, herbicides, or other hazardous materials, and no further environmental review is necessary. Wow.
good job. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, this one needs a full roll call vote.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and Scaringi's absent. So that's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scaringi.
Okay, Councilman Scanlon, go ahead with the actual ordinance 2312.
Okay. Introductory ordinance 23-12. An ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of $16,369,000, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing issuance of bonds of the city to the principal amount of not to exceed $16,369,000 to finance said appropriations.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-12? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy is absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent. Scringy.
Okay, thank you. Now introductory ordinance 23-13, considered in finance. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-13. An ordinance authorizing various capital improvements to and for the city, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of no, the wrong one. Hold on. Let me start again. Introductory ordinance 23-13. An ordinance authorizing a 6-ward interceptor sanitary sewer project, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of $13 million, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing issuance of the bonds of the city of Binghamton and the principal amount of not to exceed $13 million to finance said appropriation. There's a seeker with this also. The following seeker's motion is a reference to legislation before us. Introductory ordinance 23-13 entitled an ordinance authorizing the 6-ward interceptor sanitary sewer project, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of $13 million, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds of the city of Binghamton, the principal amount of not to exceed $13 million to finance an appropriation.
Can't.
I make a motion to declare city council lead agency under seeker.
Wait, hold on. We need a voice vote on that. All in favor on the first seeker motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. Go ahead.
I make a motion to declare the project action as type 2 action and to issue a negative declaration for one unlisted action under seeker for the following reason. This ordinance authorized issuance of $13 million serial bonds to finance a project for the relocation of City of Binghamton's existing 6-ward sanitary sewer interceptor, which is currently in an area of concern due to the location of the sewer main or the banks of the Susquehanna River. Continued erosion and degradation of the riverbank contributes to a higher risk to failure of this existing sewer interceptor. The project will relocate the interceptor sewer and pump station off the riverbank, and permits are obtained from New York State DEC and the Army Corps of Engineers. Findings: the City of Binghamton City Council has determined a portion of the proposed action described above as relocating the 6-ward sanitary sewer interceptor is a type 2 action based on 617.5 type 2C 13, extension of utility distribution facilities, including gas, electric, telephones, cable, water, and sewer connections to render service to approved subdivisions or in connection with any action of this list, and 21, minor temporary use of land having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment and no further environmental review is necessary. Accepting therefrom the construction of the new pump station, which is an unlisted action, the construction of new pump house outside the sewer bank of the Susquehanna River will minimize the risk of the interceptor being ruptured during flood events. There is therefore no negative impact after an illicit construction will improve and protect the environmental health and safety of the surrounding area and all areas downstream as such a negative declaration is issued for the project. It must be approved by New York State DEC and Army Corps of Engineers. There's no indication of any potential negative environmental impacts. To the contrary, the project will provide for improved sewer service and flood mitigation.
Good job, Councilman Scanlon.
Second.
It's a long one.
Yeah. Okay, we need a roll call vote on that second seeker motion, please.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and Scringy's absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scringy.
Introductory ordinance 23-13, an ordinance to authorize in a 6-ward interceptor sanitary sewer project stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of $13 million, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds of city in the principal amount of not to exceed $13 million to finance said appropriation.
Second.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-13?
Questions, President?
Question's been called. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Councilwoman Resnetti, Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns, Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy is absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scringy.
Thank you. Now I have introductory ordinance 23-17, considered in finance. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-17, an ordinance to update the contract for sale of 72 Court Street.
Any questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-17?
All questions?
But I'd like to make.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Friedman, go ahead.
Thank you, President Strawn. I just wanted to briefly say that I know that this lot used to be a building and was converted into green space and then was going to become a building again. And I'm sad that these plans did not come to fruition, but I do just want to say that I do value the green space in that area. I think it's a nice, like, little, I don't know if it's officially a park, but I would love to see maybe the reinstallation of the benches there. I know that that's a spot that was popular when there were benches there. So I hope that in light of the fact that this building will not be rebuilt, we can really invest in that green space there. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Scanlon, go ahead.
I'd like to echo Councilman Friedman's thoughts on that. There's no park downtown, be a great place for a little park downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Question's been called. Roll call, please.
Okay. Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scringy is absent. That's 6 ayes, 1 absent, Scringy.
Okay, thank you. We now have introductory ordinance 23-20, considered in finance. Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-20, an ordinance to amend the 2022 police budget for travel and training.
Mine. Nope. Second.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-20? Councilmember Friedman, go ahead.
Thank you, President Strawn. You all know how I feel about the police budget. I feel like there is already way too much money going to the police in ways that I don't feel are productive. And while I do feel like travel and training would be a worthwhile use of money, more so than some of the other things in the police department, I just have a hard time authorizing any further transfers into the police budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Riley, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. And yes, my co-council member and I agree with a lot of things regarding the police budget. But knowing where we stand right now, anything that will support the retraining and retooling is necessary. So if I'm going to vote to ensure that we can never say the funds were not available to ensure practices and policies were understood and upheld, I'm going to have to support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other question?
Question's been called. Mr. Clerk, roll call for us, please.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Nay.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scrungy is absent. That's one nay Friedman, one absent Scrungy, and 5 ayes.
Thank you. Now introducing ordinance 23-24, considered in finance, Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory ordinance 23-24, an ordinance to amend 2023 general fund budget, DPW for salt and sand.
Second.
Questions or comments on introductory ordinance 23-24?
Question, Mr. President?
Question's been called. Mr. Clerk, do you roll call for it, please?
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and Scrungy is absent. That's 6 ayes, one absent Scrungy.
Thank you. We now have introductory resolution 23-01, considered in finance, Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Introductory 23-01. Resolution to accept 30,000 from the Broome County Small Community Fund grant for car path improvements at Ely Park Golf Course.
Second.
Questions or comments on introductory resolution 23-01? Councilmember Friedman, go ahead.
Thank you, President Strawn. I'm going to be honest with you. I have mixed feelings about this. Of course, I think it's great to accept money coming to us. And Ely Park has proven to be quite an asset to the city. So in that sense, I support this. I think that it's a little dubious that, if I remember correctly, this is coming from Broome County's ARPA funding, which if the city of Binghamton were taking ARPA money for this, it would be a heck no from me. So if I have mixed feelings here, I just wanted to put that on the record. Since it's not our ARPA money, I suppose I'll support it, but I do think it's dubious. I'm going to be honest. I just wanted to put that on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on introductory resolution 2301?
Or question, Mr. President?
All right, question's been called. Roll call, Mr. Clerk, please.
Councilwoman Resnetti,
Aye.
Councilwoman Riley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Aye.
Councilman Burns,
Aye.
Councilman Strawn,
Aye.
Councilman Scanlon,
Aye.
and President Scrungy is absent. That's 6 ayes, one absent Scrungy.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for helping us walk through all that, and Councilman Scanlon for all your good reading. We will now move to communications from our colleagues, each other. We'll start at the top, District 2 and Councilwoman Resnetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not much to report. Just wanted to say be careful out there. Thank you, DPW, and all the work they're doing. I think it's supposed to be icy tonight, so be careful and keep an eye out for your neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now go to District 3 and Councilwoman Riley.
Thank you, Council President. So I kind of echo the sentiments of Councilwoman Resnetti. It is bad out there, and our neighbors have been helping neighbors shovel out and make sure they are parking on the right side of the street, according to our calendar, to prevent tickets. And so shout out to the neighbors that are helping neighbors. Please stay safe. I was reminded that we have a church in the 3rd district that is open and available for additional parking if you are no longer able to park on Leroy or Chestnut, some of the heavier sections of the 3rd. So consider that as an option. Before we reconvene again, we will be entering Black History Month. For those of you that may not be aware, Black History Month since 1976 has been recognized as a month dedicated to highlighting highlighting and celebrating the achievement of Black Americans, African Americans, however we desire to be called. So I encourage each one of you to look at the various calendars. Of course, there's something every week, not only in the city of Binghamton, but throughout the county, throughout the state, even online. So it would be great to see council at some of these activities, particularly those that are happening in the third. I also, as a tidbit, as we move into Black History Month, I wanted to highlight something. I know everyone is not an academic and don't look at the style, don't really readily read the style guide by APA or JAMA or AMA, but I wanted to highlight that it has been updated, and the general term minorities should not be used when describing groups or populations because it is overly vague, and it implies a hierarchy amongst populations. Instead, include a modifier when using the word minority and do not use the term as a standalone noun. For example, racial and ethnic minorities are okay, or social economic minorities are okay, but do not say minorities. That's no longer appropriate. You can use minoritized because subsets are minoritized. And I just wanted to share that so we are all moving forward with the best information for inclusion and equity. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go to District 4 and Councilmember Friedman.
Thank you, President Strawn. I also want to start with a shout out to DPW, who was extremely helpful. A new restaurant opened up on the north side, and they contacted me about litter that was outside and asked what I could do. And I said, well, let me see if I can get a garbage can out there. So I emailed the DPW commissioner, Dan Merkel, and I said, can we do anything? And he had a garbage can out there the next day. I was really impressed by the speed at which we were able to solve that issue. And the business owner contacted me and said that the garbage can was already in use. So that was something really nice. Now, there's, of course, an elephant in the room. I think there's something weighing on a lot of us. And, you know, I've been reflecting back at our last business meeting, and I'm going to say something that's maybe a little bit controversial, potentially unpopular. But I think that I know that we have to be careful not to weaponize decorum against people who are bringing up concerns that are more than valid. And if we take a look back in history, like my fellow councilwoman said, it's coming up on Black History Month, and many of the people who are lauded as heroes they were actually breaking the rules. Harriet Tubman was doing illegal things. Rosa Parks was doing illegal things. And so there's a time to follow the rules. I believe that the rules are there because they are for the, as Council President Strawn says, the good of the order. I appreciate that. And most of the time that is for the good of the order. But there is a time and a place where we have to recognize that the social contract has already been broken. So in watching the footage of Officer Kaczynski kneeling, in my mind, unequivocally, undeniably, kneeling on the neck of a resident of the city of Binghamton, a young man of color, the social contract that the police are here to protect and serve us has already been broken. And so then for us to elevate the decorum of a meeting over the concerns of the community who are worried that we have now proven that that could happen to them because it already has, that's an issue, right? We have to look at ourselves. And I'm not saying here, I'm not advocating for total chaos and anarchy, right? But there's situations where we have to honor the fact that people are responding to what a city sanctioned action was. I say city sanctioned because The police are city employees. Tax dollars pay their salaries, their benefits, their uniforms, their training, their military grade weapons. And so when something so shocking and upsetting happens, and the city's city council appears to be not really doing anything, and then people come in and we say, no, you have to wait, just sit and wait. And it's like, people are done waiting. I sympathize with someone who came in here and is kind of like wants to wring us by the shoulders and be like, what are you doing? And I hate that. I hate that we are weaponizing decorum. I think that in a situation like this, decorum falls further down the ladder of importance. That was really weighing on my mind. And I know I couldn't be here at the work session on Monday. You can hear it in my voice. I'm getting over a cold. But that's part of the reason why I introduced, or I, wasn't here to introduce, but why I tried to introduce legislation to show that actually we are listening to you. That was so scary. And we are trying to do something to make sure that we're doing the right thing, that we are having an unbiased investigation into this incident, and God willing, that will never, ever, ever happen again. Thank you.
Councilman Burns.
Thank you. Nothing really to report, Mr. President. The South Side, we had the South Side Neighborhood Assembly was going to have Mayor Cram be the special guest this evening, but it was canceled because of the weather. Now it appears that we probably could have had it, and I would have been able to make it, actually. But we've rescheduled that. Well, we're hoping the mayor can come next month. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to District 7 and Councilman Scanlon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate Mr. Tokus coming down and supporting the Binghamton Police Department. We only hear the bad parts of Binghamton Police Department from everybody that wants to speak at City Council. So I appreciate him coming down, supporting us, supporting the Binghamton Police Department, and supporting me too. Councilwoman Riley or Councilwoman Friedman, it sounds you're accepting bad behavior in the City Council chambers. We have rules, and without rules, there's chaos. So in order for us to get city business done, we can't allow chaos. It doesn't benefit anybody. Like I said at Monday's meeting, I'll listen to anybody who wants to give public comment as long as they do it within the rules, which means facing us and talking to us as a city council. So I can't excuse the bad actors because they're trying to get their message across. I don't hear anything when somebody like that talks. So hopefully everybody raises the rules from here on in, and we can have productive city council meetings. I certainly would not ever want to cancel public comment. I may want to be in favor of altering public comment. I think the county's got a great idea on it. We can talk about that more later, but I just think that you have to follow the rules. And if you can't, then you probably can't be in city council chambers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a real quick comment on, not to respond to Councilmember Friedman, but I hear what she's saying, and I just want to, I'm not defending myself, but for anybody that was here, I believe that we did that. We pretty much let everything go and people speak. I think, was my opinion, even looking at these rules, to not let, profanity and things like that stop. I was not going to stop the meeting for any of that. There was a lot of people here that had some heartfelt and sincere, and I appreciated hearing that. I really did. Like I said, I believe that I modeled that as the chair of that meeting. We did not stop anything from a decorum standpoint. I would like to say, however, that, down the road that, and I have spoken to President Scaringi, about, the profanity and things along those nature. And if you remember, we passed these rules ourselves. This was our council, a bipartisan passing, and I have it right here on September 23rd, 2021. Well, actually, I'm sorry, September 22nd. It was presented to the mayor on September 23rd, and he signed it. So we voted, this is not 4 or 5 councils ago, 10, 12, 20 years ago. This was us 7. We passed this 7-0. Permanent ordinance 021-102. So these were to ease things a little bit. The public comment had been shut down several times in our first 2 years, if you remember, and we agreed as a group bipartisan to adopt these rules, which allow for more space and it still has decorum, but it allows for warnings and a lot more things that have to happen for that to end. That being said, if and I will throw this in here, this will be turning over the gavel to President Scaringi. So I guess I got an extra month. So I wish him well. Thank you everyone for your support for running these meetings. But I would mention, and I've shared with him, that just a couple things specifically that I, did bother me, and that is, and I think he agrees that the comments should be directed to us 7 that are elected and not to the city staff, our corporate counsel, our clerk's office that worked very hard. There were some comments directed at our, especially our corporate counsel. And she does a great job. And I apologize to her personally on Monday I think I should have stepped in at that point, at least to that line of comments towards her. It was uncalled for. Everything else that was directed towards us, that's what we're here for. And we can handle it. I can handle it. So I would say if anybody's listening, I'll probably, somebody will probably take this out of context, but I would just like to say, sit here all night as long as people are facing us and directing their comments at us. We're elected. That's what we signed up for. We'll sit here all night, but we would just ask, and it's my opinion, President Scaringi may do what he wants to do. The language and things like that, we can handle that. We've added accommodations to that's First Amendment, those types of things. But, I would like to see just the stuff directed at us, not to the audience, and not to the city staff that's here to help us run these meetings. So I do apologize to corporate counsel and to the clerk's office for probably not stepping in for those comments. But I think we did let things go, and we let space go at that meeting because of the situation and the sincere people that were here to address us. And I did not want to limit their ability to do so. One quick shout out, like everybody else said, DPW, we had a couple 2 and 3 days. I know we had some issues in the first storm a month and a half ago with sidewalks going from the south side to downtown. I heard from the South Side Neighborhood Assembly people that looked better this time because a lot of people do walk across the bridges to get downtown. So I'm glad that was improved. And once again, stay safe. And I would ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Moved.